Hello everybody, it is Ebontis, and in this one I want to cover tips to get you off the ground, hit the ground running faster, make your journey a bit smoother. I'm not going to be doing like secret locations or anything like that, or story spoilers, so you're probably safe on that stuff. Mostly everything that's just going to make your journey be a little easier to understand, remind you of a couple things to make sure you don't forget. And we can start with actually options. There are a couple in here that you're going to want to pay attention to. First is going to be your gameplay. The echolocation path visibility duration. Turn it to long, you may as well. If you do pop up your little GPS line that's going to drive on the ground, I'll show you about that later, you may as well have it be on the ground for the longest time possible so you can follow it for a good amount of time. That's an easy one to do, and honestly, one of the major ones that I recommend looking at. Another one, if you are, not used to having the option, depending on where you're playing, field of view, depending on what your platform has options for. I always like to get to about 105. Did this for Destiny, it works, feels pretty good here. Generally works, and also vehicle field of view just gives you a little broader range of view. So change those and bump those up a little bit. That's been pretty helpful. The last couple things are going to be personal preference, but I did want to point them out. They are the compass vertical indicators. So toggles whether vertical markers display on the compass for all icons or only focused icons. Basically how much clutter you want up there. So far it hasn't been too bad for me to leave all icons up there, but if you do feel like that thing's getting cluttered, here's a good place to look at it. Another thing for clutter, I guess, for your compass can be your radar display. So you can either have the compass show where enemies are, which so far for me has actually been nice because it gives you a directional point to them, or you can set it up to be kind of a HUD, top-down, kind of a different look to them. So try both on this and see which one you like. So far the compass has worked for me, but if you prefer a radar enemy map, that may work better for you. And honestly, I'll probably try both a little bit more and see if I land on one more than the other. But those are a couple other things I did want to mention because you might not think about them, but they can actually kind of change things. So compass clutter is here, and then enemies on your radar or enemies on your compass, that's totally personal preference, but could be a game changer for, how things feel around you. Alright, after some settings, the other thing that I do want to mention is going to be when you go to new game, you get a couple options. Easy, you do take a little less damage, and elemental affinities matter less. Biggest thing is if you're just trying to play through the story and have some fun, don't really care too much when it comes to some of this stuff, and take a little less damage, here you go. Go on easy mode, nobody's going to matter. Elemental affinities is not as much of a thing, and that's going to be like your corrosion, your fire, your cold, and all that stuff. And by what that means is your matching damage and also what resistances you have will matter less in here. You'll be able to use whatever loadout you want. Normal, straightforward, obviously. And then on hard, you will take more damage, but it's only 10%, so it's not like the end of the world. You will earn 10% more cash, which can, end up over time. Loot quality is increased is probably the biggest one. And also elemental affinities will now matter more. So if you match the right affinity, then you're going to be okay. But if you're working against the affinity, it's going to hurt you quite a bit more. If you're not using, like, say, corrosion on armor or whatever it may be, you're going to need to pay attention to those a little bit more. So, take this accordingly. I played hard. Hasn't been too bad yet, but I've definitely had to be a little more cautious on some times where I've been pretty aggressive. Now, you can skip the prologue, and you can kind of choose your hunter, whatever it is you want to do. So if I go here, and you can pick either a Siren, Forge Knight, Gravatar, or Soldier. So your Siren is going to be Vex, and Siren, if you don't want to worry about elemental affinities, it literally is going to allow you to pick all of them, because depending on what your weapons are, is what your abilities are going to do. It really lets you just play with it that way. Forge Knight, Amon, he's going to be Incendiary and Cryo. Those are the focus there. Gravatar, which is Harlow. Gravatar is the type of hunter, but it's Harlow. Cryo and Radiation. Radiation can be beneficial. Come down here, you're going to have Rafa, Soldier, Shock, and Corrosive. All of these work a little bit different. You can really dig into what's needed for it. Like, Corrosive is good for armor. Shock can be good for the AI bots types things. So they all are going to have their benefits. Cryo is nice for a lot of things because it can really slow things down, get some pacing right where it works. And then, of course, Incendiary has some benefits there as well. So Siren's a nice universal, going to be also having like minions involved. So read each one of the Vault Hunters, but just know if Elemental Affinity is something that, you chose easy or normal, the Affinity is a little less of an important thing. If you did go hard, you might want to pay attention, especially if you're playing a group as well, who's got what and who's got what covered. You might want to make sure you mix it up a little bit, not all play the same thing is mostly what I'm saying. But read through them a little bit, check out which one sounds cool. It's really up to you. But I just wanted to let you guys know that those are the elemental affinities you're looking for. Those are the ones you want to pay attention to. Vex is a good universal, especially if you're solo, not really going to try and worry about that stuff too much. It gives you a bit more variety. So read through the character selection, pay attention to affinities in a group setting. But again, your weapons can counter. So if for some reason, like my character, cryo and radiation is covered, I might need to make sure I've got fire weapons or shock weapons or, you know, corrosive weapons to make sure and counter what I may not be able to with my abilities. That's all. It's not that big of a deal. It's just some boss fights may be a little easier, some boss fights may be a little harder, depending on what your specialties are per character. Now, while you're running around in Borderlands, a couple things you might want to know about your inventory. If you have any rewards, make sure that you open those when you get them. They are level specific, so if you pick it up level 15, it's going to be the level 15 drop. It's not going to level with you, so if you see rewards, make sure you open them up, get whatever you're going to get from it. I got a grenade ordnance. Actually, it looks pretty cool, so I don't have to consider that one, and come back out. So you're going to be getting a lot of loot. You also have rewards that you'll just open in the world. So that's the second thing, is your backpack is going to get full, and it's going to get full quickly. Notice how big my backpack is. That's an important thing, because most of my SDU points that I've got so far, you can see a little bit in ammo, a little bit in the bank. I've gone full send on the backpack. And that main reason is, I currently have 58 slots. And if I get my last 12, it's going to be a total of 70. So the biggest thing for me has been the backpack upgrade, to make sure I'm not running around, like, always feeling like I'm limited on space. I've got more stuff that I'll have to go through in junk label, and that's fine, and then I can go back in junk. But at least when I'm in the world, I'm just like, kill a boss and they explode, and you just try and pick up all the stuff or pick it up as junk. It just makes your life a lot easier to have a lot more space. So ammo, early game, not really been as much of an issue. Late game, these will probably be very important. I'll get to that later. Bank right now, it's nice to have some slots to be able to send stuff to. We'll cover that. Lost loot, I'm not too worried about losing too much stuff, because if it's colorful, I'm probably going to be picking it up, thanks to my backpack. Now, one thing to note about your inventory, and this is right now on the 13th. Game came out a few days ago from when I'm recording this one. When you are hitting the junk button right now, like if I'm up here and I hit junk, it does the right item. If I'm down here, it does the right item. But if I scroll this bar for whatever reason, now when I hit Daedalus, it's going to mark 2 items above it. So be careful in what you mark, because you might really want that thing, and then you go to mark it as junk, you get back to vendor, you clear it, and you're like, all right, where's that thing I wanted? You might have accidentally sold it. For me right now, one of the things to make sure I'm not getting rid of anything, 1, I try and sort by level to make sure I'm not really out of whack, but 2, I try and make sure and come down here. Like if I try and do this one, it's going to be a little off because I've scrolled down something. If I scroll down way far, watch this thing. It won't even mark on the same page because it's like way up here. So be really careful what you mark as junk. You might have some stuff that gets marked that shouldn't be. So you can, 1, be careful. Mark it with junk with the right click. This is something they gotta fix. Shouldn't happen. Shouldn't hopefully be in the game for very long. The other thing though, and you'll see it right here, is maybe this is just a gun I like the concept of it. I want to bank this thing. So unmark for junk, and then I want to bank this. And what I can do is I can just take this item wherever I am in the world. You can see I'm just standing out here, not next to any vending machine, just on a cliff edge. And I can go into my inventory in my backpack, and I can say I've got 1 item that's going to go to bank. I know that's this low-level thing down here. And I'm going to send that to bank. Bam, right out of my inventory slot. So depending on later on, especially when you're farming for things and you're looking to, you know, really sort through the good stuff, but you don't really care about doing it right now, maybe you're playing with friends, having some bank space is really going to be beneficial for that purpose, because then you just send a bunch of stuff there that could be good and then sort through it when you get back. Now you might out-level it, that's fine, but that's just how some of that goes. Next thing I want to talk about is your healing and your shields. This is what's going to keep you alive. And it's the things to pay attention to when you pick up your rep kits. So instead of just picking up health off the ground, which you can do when you kill enemies, you have a healing kit. It's going to have a certain cooldown. It's going to have certain benefits to it. And by the way, purple gear just in general, don't wait for just legendaries. Purple gear is going to carry you for a long time. If you get a purple that feels good, it's probably going to outpace other things for a while. I had a level 7 that did that for a good minute. But healing items, your differences, for example. So if I take this one and I want to look at it, so you can see you're going to have the instant heal. That's the number on the left. That's going to be what happens right when you click the button. Then I get another 126 over 8 seconds. Cooldown on this is 24 seconds. And you can see health burst on use grants an additional burst worth of 50% of the rep kit's initial healing. So this thing is giving me even more than it reads. Even if, for say, the number here is, say, 361, and this one says 255, so it's down. But maybe this one is like, I don't know, maybe this one was like 375. I'm like, okay, one way or another, I'm getting more heals. But maybe I wouldn't be because this thing's technically giving me an additional burst on top of that healing after the 8 seconds. So I'm getting extra healing from this because of this extra health burst. Now, this one works a little bit differently. So this is going to be less healing up front, but more healing over time. Sometimes you're going to have that trade-off. I've had some that are all healing over time. I've had one that was a trade-off of no healing, but all the healing it shows it's going to do is going to go into your overshields. There's builds for that. So really pay attention, and it's not just like the corner number, it's how it delivers it to you. It's how quickly it delivers it to you. The cooldown as well. This one's 24 seconds, this one's 14. So I can use this one way more frequently, which is nice. And if I'm going for an ordnance cooldown, like I really like my grenades, this could be kind of awesome. Another thing to pay attention to is ones of the order. So I've got like the order here for a weapon. This can charge up. If you have heal kits that are the order, those actually will have multiple charges in them. So you actually can use it twice, and you're really going to be able to stay alive a little more frequently with that one because you're going to get that extra healing, or at least have one in reserve. So really pay attention to what your heal kit is actually doing, because there's a wide variety of these things, and they are going to work in a lot of different ways. So just check them all. You know, whether it's Daedalus, whether it's Order, they're going to have some variance to them. And when you start getting into purples, there's some cool stuff that can happen. Now, when it comes to shields, what you're going to notice is you're going to have either an energy shield like this one, or you're going to have an armor shield like these two. Now, they work very differently. So you can see in the bottom left-hand corner right now, my energy shield is just recharging over time. That's it. It just comes back over time. Now, I've got the ability to get an overshield, because I've actually got some skills spent for my character to actually have an overshield. So for me, if I come in here, I actually have a maximum shield capacity and I increase the overshield capacity. So that's just like a thing for my character. So the number might not match, but that's why. Now, you also notice, if I look at this one, the recharge rate, when it's equipped, grants 20% increased recharge rate. I don't know how this thing could not be equipped and get used, but I'm going to get a boost to recharge rate. The other thing is power booster. When damaged, I get a chance to spawn a power booster that again grants me a little bonus damage. So the purple stuff, again, there are some really cool modifiers in here to pay attention to. But if you're trying to wonder, this one is a capacity of 824. My regen rate is 84 per second. So that was how long it takes to fill up. So if it's 824, it's going to take me about a full 10 seconds to get this thing maxed out. And then the regen delay, that is from damage, in case it's just not clear. That's what that is. So it's like you have to be like out of damage for 3.1 seconds for it to kick in. Now, the other type is going to be armor shield. So you're going to have chunks of armor shields that are going to basically build up in chunks, not just the full shield. So you can see here, full capacity is 506. Armor segments, I've got 3 of them, but my armor damage reduction is 25%. So my damage reduction on my armor is actually pretty good. This is 27%, for example, but it's got 2 charges. This one has 3. So if I equip this one and I pop out, bottom left-hand corner, you're going to see a yellow bar filling up. Each time that yellow bar fills, one of my chunks of armor is going to get refilled. And then once it's all fully up there, then you're working with armor chunks as opposed to an energy shield. So now I've got 211 armor there. So they work a little bit differently. If you want an energy shield that you know is going to be able to refill a little bit at a time, that might work better for you. If you know armor shield is going to work better in chunks, each time you get that refill, you get another chunk in.
Guess all rippers do bathe in garbage juice.
And of course, you got the color commentary from all of our Vault Hunters. And once you're totally full up, again, it's going to work like a shield, but when it comes back, it's going to come back in chunks. But you do have that damage resistance, so maybe it's not higher. And you'll see this one won't overshield this final charge, but it's going to work as kind of one in reserve that if you lose some, this one should come back. Give it just a second, and then we'll go down and actually take some damage now that we're waiting.
I wonder what he's spliced with.
Let's see if I can get a little damage on. Come on, hit me. I'm right here, dude. So there's a chunk off, and you can see it's recharging. We're getting that up. There we go. So the first one's down.
Go me!
The level up probably refilled my shields, but that's the difference. The energy shield is like a lot more just like fine-tuned, where it's like little by little, build it up over time. The armor is in chunks, but you've got damage reduction to help with that. Again, similar thing to the healing. read the differences, try them out, see how you like each one. I mean, notice I've got a resistance on the energy shield to a certain type of damage. So you're probably going to want to keep a few of these. Maybe it's like this one is going to give you a resistance to cold resist. You might want to keep a couple different types, but also a couple different damage resistances depending on what bosses you're fighting. So I know that's a little longer explanation, but there's a lot of detail to these two things, and these are what are going to keep you alive, so I wanted to spend a little extra time on those. Hopefully that helps. So when it comes to getting around by foot, you're going to do that in a few places, running around, going between a couple buildings in an area, nothing too major. Your jetpack is actually really nice. Your ability to just glide along, cover some ground, you actually go a little faster than running, so if it's there, use it. Also, don't forget, you also, for about half your bar, have a double jump, and then you have a nice little dash that you can use too. So it's kind of one of those, if you have two dashes and you don't ever actually use the jetpack, you go jump. And you can use it twice, but if you use the jetpack at all, you'll use just enough that you can't use it twice. So your little like dashes like that may help you get to certain areas that are up high, maybe cover a gap between two buildings to get to a secret. I've used it that way. The other way for mobility is going to be your digibike. I'm probably saying that wrong. I forget what it's called. But this is your bike. You've got weapons on it. They're not the strongest, but they're something. If you're driving up to an area, maybe you got a weird drive going on. It's cool that they're there. You got your boost, which is nice. The boost is legit. The longer you hold it, the more speed you'll build, but it goes away pretty quick. And the other thing to pay attention to is as you use certain weapons, you're going to get an increase in your vehicle's speed. So paint jobs are one thing. You'll unlock those. You'll have your vehicles. These don't seem to really change too much, but your hover drive is actually quite important. Now, Jacobs, you can see, is rank 3 for me. I had a Jacobs shotgun and probably a couple other things. I've used a lot of these weapons. It seems like the more of the weapons I've used, the more I've actually kind of made my Jacobs engine better. Because this one's rank 3 and it's better than just about everything. But, for example, if I come down here to, say, Vladov, for example, this is rank 2. Now, handling and boost might not be that good. But if I leveled this up to 3, my guess, speed would probably be at least 2 above my other one. My acceleration would be 1 higher. Handling may still only be okay, but my boost would be equal. So at that point, if I want like a good top speed and acceleration for a long distance journey, maybe that's how I want to drive, as opposed to this one that looks like handling is going to be a bit more of the priority. My point is, as you're going through and using different weapons, you'll notice like I've got Order down here, I've got Theodore over here, I've got Torg over here, and then when I come back and go to customization, same thing is going to be there. So the weapons you use, this is the only thing I can surmise. You've got Daedalus, I've got Order, I've got Ripper, I've got Torg, and then Jacobs I know I've used more than anything else because I had a shotgun I used forever. So as you use your weapons, make sure you come back in, check what engines you've unlocked, maybe you've got multiple to pick one, see which driving style you like. This one's going to need some help, it looks like. But either way, pay attention to your unlocks as you get them, because you might have a higher rank engine sitting there, and that means your bike is going to go way faster than it normally does. So just one of those things that you may not realize that you're actually doing it, but as you use your weapons, seems like you can make your bike go faster. Depending on what weapon you use, might depend on the stats that you get. So your jetpack's cool, but your bike for getting around this big world is going to be kind of a really important factor. And then as you use your weapons, seems like your upgrades will go with it. Now, the other thing you may be asking is, how do I get the bike? Well, the bike is very simple. Similar to the jetpack, it just comes from the story. So you'll eventually get to the point where you drive, or you actually kind of run and work your way towards this place, the launch pad. I think it's here. I don't think it's actually like at one of these little safe houses. I'm pretty sure it's at the launch pad. They just give it to you. Once you get to a certain point in a certain quest, they just give it to you, and then you're good to explore much freer. It may be earlier, but basically what I'm saying is do the story until you get your bike. After you have your bike, and your jetpack is even before the bike, but once you've got those two, then you can go do whatever you want. Clear out every side quest down here. Go do everything in here. Look for vault keys, whatever. But just like stick to the golden path of the story till you get your bike. At that point, go do whatever you want, and that's kind of the point. So have fun. But I knew there was probably going to be a question in the comments, so I wanted to make sure I covered that. Yeah, just do the story. They will hand it to you. It's not that hard. Maybe an hour, hour and a half that it took me to get it. It was pretty quick. So yeah, stick to the story until you get the bike, then you're good. Alright, so this is a safe house, one of the many types of fast travel points that you're going to be going between. Now, safe houses I highly recommend because you're going to be able to get a target board unlocked by getting it captured. The thing to know is you're going to need to find the data pad so you can actually capture the safe house. And the data pad can be in some funky spots. So if I come over here to this one, it was actually on like a cliffside. The actual safe house is, you can kind of see the picture. It's on like a cliff. And you can see this little break in the back wall. The data pad had actually like fallen down like 50 feet below to this like lower tier down here. And then once I picked it up, I could eventually get back here, but I had to work my way back around, use a little GPS to get back up top. Then I could capture the safe house and activate it. So first thing I wanted to give you a heads up on is, I don't know if any others are going to be this way, but this one for sure has the data pad in a weird location. As I kind of got to the edge, there was a little icon like pointing me down as I was looking. So like kind of keep an eye out for those. I don't know what the other safe houses are going to be like. The other ones have not been that way. But I wanted to mention that that was actually a thing, because you may not expect it, but it's real. So at safe houses, you're going to have a couple things. The important one are going to be these kind of regional contracts, because you can pick these things up, and then maybe you just need to, you can have 5 total contracts at a time. So whatever area you're in, always have some on you, because some are just as easy as, you know, find some batteries, or acquire some eggs, or trace these guys. Sometimes kill a certain number of enemies. Not really a hard thing to do, but something to continue to help you getting experience and leveling cash and all that type of stuff. You're also going to have your vending machines here too. So the vending machines are going to be beneficial. Check them every so often. They can give you some really good stuff. It levels with you. Mine's at 18 now. While the weapon may not be that great, it still levels with you, so you don't want to ignore these things. Sometimes they might have a purple here. I've seen people have got legendaries from those things. So don't sleep on the machines. Get close enough so you can see the, you know, the thing of the day, which rotates like every hour. Check on that occasionally. And then over here, you're also going to be able to deposit some capsules in here, so you know if you need to bring anything back, this is where it's going to go. And just safe houses in general, one of those things you do want to unlock. Other fast travel points are going to be order silos. I'll show you a bit about those in a second, because you'll typically have to go around to get to them. And you activate them, but they do a different thing, which is actually really important. Sometimes you're just going to have quest level fast travel. You also will have a faction town. Now, the faction town, you'll notice it will have the piggy bank icon. It will have the target board. It'll have your vendors. It'll have more, because this is a full-on town, and this is the first one I've been to. I would imagine the towns are going to be pretty specific to like each of the big 3 areas for the main quests. So that faction town is going to be fairly centralized to it, because everything else so far has been safe house, fast travel, or the order silos. So now let's talk about order silos, because those are a little bit of a different animal than the safe houses. Both are going to give you SDUs. They just kind of work a little bit different and give you different things. Alright, so similar but not quite the same as safe houses are order silos. Now, when you look on your map, it'll be this kind of icon, and usually all you need to do is claim it, and you'll get the fast travel, and you just have to go actually kind of use the console on the inside. Half the time they're tall, so you need to be able to actually get up to the front window. Typically it takes you going around, kind of a long route to be able to get around there. I already cleared everybody out, so I should just be able to drive up here. Run. And the big thing is the order silos are important, because they're going to allow you to actually know where vault fragments are going to be kind of located. And without them, you're going to be definitely on a bit of a wild goose chase. So if you see an order silo, 1, fast travel point, always good to have. 2, it's going to give you a couple of the vendor spots, and also just kind of another place to go. But 3, you'll notice there's going to be 1 per section. So down here, this is the coastal bonescape. My 1 order silo is right here, and I ended up finding the vault fragment down here. Currently, I have no idea where it's at. So this whole region is called the Howl. You can see the outline of it as this whole section here. So once I actually get the capture onto the order silo, once that goes through, we'll be able to actually see at least a region where we can start looking for the vault fragment. And those are important, so you can get a couple of vault fragments and therefore then open a vault, which we know those are huge. Also, just like save houses, you're typically going to get a pretty sizable chunk of SDU. 40 SDU, cannot tell you how valuable that stuff is, especially for backpack space early on. I've oversaid that, I'm sorry, I just put a bunch of different clips together. But the 40 SDU is nice. You've got your nice little line that goes up there, where you're kind of like inflatable. That thing's actually really nice to get around. I'll show you how that works. But then also, if we go out to the map now, you're going to notice the vault fragment is in this region. Was not on that map before, and that's one of the main reasons why you need to find your order silos, capture them. Fast travel points are nice, but finding the vault fragments is way more important. Now, the other thing these things do, you'll know it's a vault order silo because it has this big giant thing to it. These work as a zip line, which is pretty cool because what you're able to do is you'll go zip line to it. It'll take you way up in the air, and then if you want to get a flight going somewhere, you actually can. So they're kind of cool in that aspect. They give you a really big launch to go to potentially somewhere else, get some verticality, and might let you, you know, kind of fly to an area you might not otherwise get to. So maybe you do need to get on top of something. Well, see if you can order silo that might let you glide over there, because that might be the exact way you do it. So order silos, obviously fast travel, vault fragments are good, the big zip line up, and of course vending machines as well. So order silos, try and find them all. They're going to be really important. Thing to pay attention to, maybe you know up ahead you've got like a decent fight or something where you're like, this could be a higher level, maybe I'm getting a little in over my head. Check where your respawn point is. You drive by them all the time, but if you want to know which one is registered to you, just use your little Echo 4 scan, and it's the thing that pops up in bright blue. That big giant beam of light, that's going to be your respawn point. So if you know where that one's at least you know what your runback's going to be like in case you do get smoked by some unknown crazy high level thing. So just keep that in mind, as they can be helpful to at least kind of position yourself. And if you don't see one nearby, roam around and try and find one before you have to really drive a long ways if you do die. Alright, so one quick pointer for map markers. You're going to have certain things on your map, whether it be a propaganda speaker or a vault symbol that you're trying to go for collectibles, for SDU points, whatever it may be. The location on the compass, like the direction and the number of meters, the direction is usually going to be right. It's the number of meters away that you are that is not always correct, because the vertical axis is not taken into account, and I can prove it to you. So you've got a vault symbol here and a vault symbol here. This one right over here next to me, that I turn over here, it's real obvious. So I look up on my map, and 12 meters away, walk on up, and this thing is 2 meters away. Perfect. Works. That's going to be a vault symbol to pick up. Now if I come over here, I know there's a vault symbol over this direction. Alright, so I'm getting on the map. I know it's getting over here. This thing's 25 meters away. I'm down here. It's 15, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. Maybe it's in here on the wall. Nope, I am 2 meters away and we got nothing. Nothing on the ceiling, nothing behind the barrel, nothing. And yet, it says I'm 3 meters, 2 meters, literally like 0 meters away, and it's not here. So I just wanted to point that out, that you don't always want to trust the number. Now, it's probably above or below me somewhere. Maybe it's down in a tunnel. Maybe it's up on a roof or an attic somewhere. Check the vertical spaces, and just don't forget about those, because you may get frustrated and be like, I'm right where it tells you to go, but it's not like I'm also 10 meters away from it vertically. It doesn't give you that as a factor. So it's just the X and the Y axis, not the Z. Keep that in mind when you're looking for these things, and that'll let you know if you get like right on top of it or beneath it. You know, check the up and the down, and you'll probably find it there. Another thing to watch out for are fishing spots. They're pretty simple. You'll see them in water, and you just might find these little kind of splashing areas. All you gotta do is use your little grapple hook. You'll throw it in the air, and then you'll grapple it to you. Sometimes it's just gonna be trash, and honestly, most of the time so far, it's been trash. But it's still worth knocking them out as you're either driving by or walking by if you see them, because you never quite know what you're gonna get. So, not a whole lot from that one, but the whole goal is, if you can find some fishing spots, I recommend taking the few seconds it takes to clear them out. You never know what you might get. Quick thing to note about your skills, whichever skills you have, when it comes to respecking, you will be able to, but know that it's going to cost you, at least for me when I looked at, say, my level of 18, it was about 10% of my money. Now, granted, that'll scale how much money you have. Since I have like 700,000, it was like 70,000. Kind of hurts, but again, it's only 10% and you'll be earning more as you level up. So be a little bit aware, but just know you're probably going to respec plenty, and as it scales with your money, you'll probably be okay, so don't feel too bad about it. You're going to be able to have your main action skill, and you're going to be able to pick whether it's this one here, or this one here. You can pick points that level up, like I regain health regeneration just on a constant basis. I could have that one active and still have points in here, but that might be a later thing depending on what your build is going to go for. So you're going to have one action skill. You can have one augment. So I have 2 augments that I have options to get here, but I also have 3 more that I unlock at this level. And once I get to the proper level, I can just switch around between whichever one I've got. So you get one augment, and then down at the bottom, that's where you're probably going to need to focus on where you put your points. You're going to have one capstone. Capstones are going to be pretty game-changing, so definitely something to consider where you put your points, and also how willy-nilly you reset. Just be aware that you're going to be spending some money when you do. I haven't spent a bunch on guns, and I'm sure the loot is mostly going to come from drops, so it's probably not that big of a deal to respec, but just wanted to make you aware. One, you can respec. It will cost you some money, but if it's just a percentage, it's always going to be reasonably affordable because just the percentage will go up and down with your money. And then just so you're aware of, like, I've got these augments and I was like, oh, I can pick this one, but then I realized it unselected this one. So you kind of want to pay attention to what you're giving and taking for your points and skills and stuff like that. So pay attention to that. SDU, I've probably covered in a couple places. Backpack's big. Lost loot, that's just stuff that goes back to kind of like the town where you can go recover that one. The bank, that where you can send stuff from your inventory straight to the bank, get it later, especially good for late farming. And ammo, just, you know, if you have a tendency to blow through ammo on one certain weapon, like an assault rifle or a pistol or something, maybe put a little more into that, but ammo so far hasn't been too much of an issue. Backpack's been my priority there. The final thing I wanted to mention is you're going to see this little icon right here. Splash Zone is a boss I already beat, kind of an early mission, one of the first things you do. You can activate Moxie's big encore stations, and you can replay bosses. Also, if you come up here to missions, you can see replay, and you can see what you can and can't replay. So if I come down here to like recruitment drive, you can see the fade fields. I can replay this one, and you can just start to replay the mission, and you can work your way through depending on difficulty, down and outbounds normal, a lot of process, I can do that, and you can go refight either certain missions or objectives or things of that nature. Some things are not replayable, so these are just going to be down here non-replayable missions. They just are there. But if you want to refight a certain boss or farm one for anything specific, just know you can either go back to that area, you can restart the full mission in the menu. Both are an option, and I just wanted to make you aware, especially later on, if you're like, I know I can knock this boss out, let me farm him for some decent gear for a bit. That may be a good way to help you level up and kind of fill out some of your slots in case you're lagging behind in some areas. Well, that is about it, I think, for this one. I don't want to spoil anything. I don't want to show any secrets per se yet, and I don't have a build because I'm still working through it like you are. But I do try and get an early video like this out to as many of you guys as possible early on, because my early learnings hopefully will make your early learnings a little bit easier, and these are just some universal things everybody should know. So if you pick up the game now, or a year from now, or 6 months from now, or tomorrow, hopefully this one helps you out. If you enjoyed the video, drop a like below, leave a comment if you got questions, thoughts, opinions, builds, or otherwise. You guys know where to find me. It's Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, all of those places, Patreon, membership, anything like that's always appreciated, but never required. Thank you guys for the support. Have a good one, and good luck out there vault hunting.